right, happy Saturday, or my goodness, I always do this. It's Sunday, Central Georgia. It's meteorologist Ansley Parker here, and we are going to dive into your extended forecast for the rest of the weekend and then really the upcoming work week. So Sunday, if you haven't really talked or heard about the forecast over the last couple of days, today's going to be a really important day because this is sort of our transition day. We kind of have the most things going on today. We've got chances for showers, maybe a storm or two in a couple of spots, and then the cold front that's bringing the rain chances is also the cold front that's going to be dropping us into the 30s by tomorrow morning. So our really cold air is on the way, and then also we've got some changes in the forecast for this afternoon as well. So kind of a lot to break down for Sunday itself. And then of course our weather impact alert is in place for Tuesday morning ahead of the hard freeze that's expected across almost the entire state. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. And there's just kind of a lot to talk about. So let's jump into it. As always, I'm going to put the graphics full screen so that you can see those a little bit better. And then we will start talking about it. And we're kicking it off with the sky cams. Now, this morning, the sky cams have kind of looked like this almost the entire time, where some spots look really clear and nice. Like downtown Macon has looked clear all morning long. We really haven't had a lot of cloud cover there. Perry has kind of had on and off clouds. Warner Robins the same way. Dublin looks like they've been mostly locked in with cloud cover this morning. But either way, the whole big picture here with all four sky cams is that from time to time, it's looked like downtown Dublin, where there's complete blanket of locked in cloud cover. And then on other occasions, it's looked a lot like downtown Macon, where it's nice and blue skies, it's sunny, it's clear, and there's not a lot of cloud cover out there. So we've kind of had fluctuations in the cloud cover all morning long, and I think throughout the day it's kind of going to be a similar story. It's kind of like yesterday. We had a lot of clouds in the morning, and then in the afternoon not so much, but then some places had the return of clouds in the afternoon because of rain. Same kind of thing for today. Sometimes it'll look great, sometimes maybe not so much, and then as we head into this evening, everybody will begin to clear up. So that's the way things look right now. Pretty calm, otherwise not a ton going on out there to kind of focus on, at least in the way that things look. But we know that change is kind of looming out on the horizon. When we look out towards the west, especially when we look at this map here, you can tell something is heading our way. So when we look at temperatures across kind of the eastern half of the United States here, it is really, really chilly in areas that are to the northwest of us. That is not a coincidence. The cold front that's coming our direction, that's bringing down some polar air, is heading our direction from the northwest, and it will be creeping closer to us as we push further and further into Sunday. Take a look at Kansas City, only 28 degrees compared to our 73 down here in Macon. So we're warm today. Today actually won't be too chilly, but heading into tonight, all this Arctic air that you can see out there towards the northwest is going to be taking over our area. You can already see the flow starting to change. So yesterday we were having winds coming out of the southwest. Today you can start to see them turning, coming in from the west as opposed to the southwest, just kind of marking the fact that change is on the way. We have a lot of 70s on the board already, so low to mid 70s for most places. Areas that have been stuck with cloud cover this morning are a little bit cooler. So there's some upper 60s on there as well. In places like Lawrence County, which as we just saw on the sky cam, they've got a lot of clouds right now. So probably part of the reason that they're sitting a little bit cooler. But the winds are starting to pick up. You'll notice this throughout today. Winds right now sustained are up to around 10 miles per hour, but we occasionally have had a wind gust that gets up to 15 to maybe 20 miles per hour. So as this front starts to approach, it's really going to increase the winds in our area. And tomorrow, the winds are going to be even stronger than this. So right now, winds are noticeable, but I think by Monday, they're going to be blowing your hair around, kind of a nuisance sort of wind where it's actually, really gusty and it's noticeable. So this is just kind of, again, Sunday is really the marker of change as we go throughout today. The changes that come with the cold front are really going to be setting up camp here. So that's kind of the main story for today, but at least we'll still be warm. High temperatures today will once again be in the upper 70s, so not too much of a change from the last few days. That's the same sort of story temperature-wise. And similar to yesterday, isolated showers and storms will be possible this afternoon and into this evening. But by the time this cold front sweeps through, it takes all rain chances away with it. So late night tonight will stay clear and then clear to kick off Monday morning. This afternoon, evening rain chance, it will move on. Eventually, it's not really going to linger like yesterday's did. So let's talk about the satellite and radar so we can talk a little bit more about those rain chances, because if you are in counties such as, if I can remember correctly, I believe it was Putnam, Hancock, and potentially maybe Washington County as well, that had severe thunderstorm warning yesterday. You know that it got a little bit gusty, and actually there was some hail noted in some of the storms yesterday. So there is another chance for a couple of stronger to maybe even severe thunderstorms today, but the chance is pretty low, and similar to yesterday, they're going to be very isolated storms if we do happen to see anything. But big picture across the southeast, you can tell where the cold front is. Obviously, we looked at it on the temperature map, but you can see it with the cloud cover as well, kind of creeping into the northeastern tier of the state right now. So where all that cloud cover is up there, that's actually kind of where the front is sweeping across now. So here in our area, right now, we actually don't have any showers. We had a couple of light sprinkles this morning. You can kind of see that as this radar rolls back to earlier this morning. Really light stuff kind of rolling from Macon County into Peach and parts of Houston County. But after that, or Taylor County, excuse me, I misspoke. After that, we haven't really had a ton of showers, just kind of occasional cloud cover in some spots. So you can see good cloud cover pretty much south of I-16 and east of 75. Looks like folks are pretty locked in under the cloud cover right now. But like I said, this will kind of fluctuate throughout the day. So taking the clouds away, obviously we don't really see any rain right now. But like I said, that doesn't mean that there's not still a chance for an isolated shower storm later today. Yesterday, we were in a level 1 risk, just barely. It was really for our northern 3 counties, so Jasper, Putnam, and Hancock were similarly grazed in a level 1 risk, and that's actually where the thunderstorms ended up occurring. So the Storm Prediction Center did a pretty good job with the distinction on that. So I'm kind of inclined to agree with their thinking for today. The only counties that are technically included in the Storm Prediction Center outlook today looks to be Montgomery, Wheeler, and Telfair, although I would say the chances are really better to the south of them, but a couple of these storms could be in those counties as well. And again, it's a low-end risk at that. So maybe 1 or 2 storms that could get strong enough to be severe, but overall I think the chances are pretty limited, especially with this latest graph run. It really tapers back their rain chance overall. So we're clear through the morning, but when we start climbing into the afternoon, because we still do have a lot of sunshine out there, warm temperatures, and still enough moisture to support some rain chances, as well as the lift from the frontal boundary, a couple of showers could start to pop up this afternoon and early this evening. But notice, kind of similar to the Storm Prediction Center's thinking, I mean, you can see the bulk of the rain and probably what's going to be some thunderstorms this afternoon and evening are south of us. So earlier, the graph did have a couple of light showers sprinkled into mainly our, I would say, maybe, I'm trying to think of a dividing line, but kind of just the further south you are, better chances for a brief shower or two. Now it's really backed off the rain chance overall. So there's a chance today you go through seeing absolutely nothing. Chances are definitely better the further north you are. In fact, I would go as far to say places kind of north of Macon probably won't see any rain today, and it will continue to be sunny and clear. But everybody will have the chance to be sunny and clear as we push into later tonight. So by the late night hours, you can see this is 11 p.m. tonight. All that cloud cover has moved on. Any potential chances for rain have moved on, and the front has officially pushed through. All of our flows coming in from the northwest. It's going to be a lot cooler, and the air is just going to be a lot clearer. So that happens by late night tonight. It's really only from about now into the early evening that you have to worry about a potential shower or two. But anything you see will be isolated, very short-lived. Honestly, should not be much of a nuisance to you today at all. I think anything that we saw that would have been a bigger deal would have been yesterday. So that clears us up as we kick off the work week here. Obviously, having such clear skies allows the temperatures to get really cool, but rain-wise, at least for Monday and for Tuesday, we're clear. That cold front is really going to dry our air out. There's going to be no rain chances for both of those days. And then, surprise, surprise, I bet you could guess it, we're actually clear for the entire work week once again. Now you can see as we get to the very end of the long range models here, the GFS tries to bring through another round of rain next Sunday. Obviously, that's beyond the 7-day forecast at this point. So we'll kind of see how that pans out. That would be great. We could use another widespread rain chance here. But right now, you can see the Euro is clearly not on board with that thinking just yet. So we'll kind of fine tune this as we go through the next couple of days. I would say it's too far out to say for certain right now. But one thing I can say for certain right now is that Monday through Friday, really Monday through Saturday, are going to be completely dry. So rain chances this week, not great. We really don't have much of that at all. Obviously, we did see a little bit of rain yesterday. There's a chance to see a little bit of rain today. If you give this graphic just a moment to load, it's trying to show you the rainfall totals from the past 5 days, but really we've only seen rain kind of in the past 24 hours or so. And man, it's taking its time. The rainfall graphics have a hard time sometimes. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so what you're going to see is just low-end rain totals at that. Now, obviously, like I said, there was a severe thunderstorm warning up there in Putnam and Hancock counties. So that's where the rainfall totals were the highest from yesterday, close to potentially 1.5 inches in those spots. Thunderstorms definitely good for heavier rainfall totals. And then we had some showers kind of track over the same area down there in southern Lawrence County, but these are the heaviest amounts. And similar, as we go through today, if you happen to get a good thunderstorm, the rain totals will be a bit higher, but this is a new model run. And with the graph backing off the rain chances altogether, obviously it's not really going to have rainfall totals if it doesn't even think there's going to be rain. But what you need to take away from potential rainfall totals from today is that they're not going to be very high. So in terms of the drought monitor and how we've been talking about this for honestly the last 2 months now, this past weekend is not going to do a lot for this at all. It gets updated every Thursday, so we'll get a new look at this this upcoming Thursday, but obviously with no rain chances in the forecast for the next week, there shouldn't really be any changes to this other than potentially a few more spots creeping into the severe drought category. Obviously, we'll hope that's not the case. Maybe some of the rain from the weekend could have held that off, but I don't expect to see a whole lot of change unless it's in the negative direction on the drought monitor. So we really still do need a good rain chance, and that is a big focus. But of course, as we start to enter cooler temperatures, growing season is definitely coming to a close. So temperatures with no rain really in the forecast are going to be a huge focus this week. And what you're going to hear me emphasize a lot on this stream specifically is how cold Monday is going to be. So we do have a weather impact alert in place for Tuesday morning. That is going to be the expected first freeze of the season. Low temperatures undoubtedly are getting down into the 20s, mid to upper 20s probably for a lot of spots in our area, but below freezing certainly for everybody. So that's why we went with the weather impact alert for Tuesday morning. It's just a notable day, first freeze. It's going to be the coldest temperatures that we've seen so far this season. You got to be aware of it. But in some of that conversation, in fact, I found myself realizing today, Monday is actually going to be bitterly cold. So I'm going to talk a lot about Monday on this. Obviously, I'm going to give you the details what you should expect for Tuesday, but you're going to hear me talk a lot about Monday for good reason. So just to kind of show you where we stand right now, the average temperature for this early November time frame is supposed to be in the low 70s for the high. The average low should be right around the mid to low 40s. And we, over the weekend, have been a lot warmer than that. So we've had a lot of cloud cover in the overnight hours. That's kept us in the upper 50s overnight, even low 60s in a lot of places. And then yesterday, we actually did see 80 degrees. But if you're familiar with the weather we've had for the last week, we've kind of been hanging out in the upper 70s overall. So at least for this afternoon, not too much of a change on the way for the high temperature. We'll still make our way into the upper 70s, but you can already see by the time we hit this afternoon, the front is on the way. It's already kind of taking over in the metro area. So watch this. It's actually pretty impressive on the temperature map here. I'll just let it play through. That is the cold front there. You can't miss it. It's very cold, and that's going to dry out our air and drop our temperatures with, like I said, the polar air mass that it's bringing down into our area by early tomorrow morning. So when you wake up on Monday morning, you get ready to take the kids to the bus stop or you're heading out to work, we're going to be actual air temperature in the 30s. It's going to be really cold, okay? But like I said, there's going to be an added factor, and that will be the wind. So I'll show you the wind chills here in a second, but the actual temperature is going to be in the 30s. By the afternoon, there won't be too much relief from the sunshine. Even though it will be a clear, sunny day, the actual high temperatures are probably going to be I think potentially the graph may be undershooting this a bit. I would say low 50s, maybe 50 as the high for tomorrow. That's what I have forecasted. But nonetheless, that's going to be really chilly. And then we climb down into the overnight hours for Monday night into Tuesday. And the graph actually, I think, is overshooting this morning low. So I think it's really going to be in the 20s Tuesday morning. Remember, that is the hard freeze that we keep talking about. That's the weather impact alert warning. But I mean, that is a good 24 hours where we really don't warm up. So that's kind of why we've made such an emphasis on doing all your cold weather plan preparations, the pipes, the pets, the plants, all that good stuff, because it really is going to be very cold. Certainly the coldest air that we've had so far this season. And no matter how much you like the cold, it can always come as a shock when you're not used to it. And we can kind of forget those kind of things. So that's obviously why we're bringing your attention to it so much. By Tuesday afternoon, it's already a little bit warmer. It's still going to be cold. I'm still saying mid to low 50s, but that's a little bit warmer than Monday. And then actually, it's a very short-lived cold stint that we're on. We are going to be back to the 70s by the end of the week, but not before, again, we make it through some really frigid air. So Tuesday morning will be the first freeze, but parts of North Georgia actually are already under a freeze warning for overnight tonight. That's just because they get the cold air a little bit faster than us. So what you see in pink there is the freeze warning. That's for tonight into Monday morning. We are not included in that, but as we start talking about Monday night into Tuesday morning, then we come into the picture. That is when we are going to have below freezing temperatures guaranteed. So right now we're in a freeze watch. If you're curious, the distinction between the watch and the warning here, I would say it's really two things. One, the freeze warning is coming first. So I believe a warning, they probably issue that when it's about 24 hours out. So we're in that 24-hour time frame now. So they've done the warning first. We will likely see our blue area turn pink tomorrow once the freeze has already happened for North Georgia, and then we can kind of all be in a pink area. I think the timing is one of the big distinctions, and then certainty. So once you enter the 24-hour time frame, a warning gives that sort of certainty of we are absolutely going to see temperatures at this range. The watch is we're pretty certain. So we will be in the pink as we head into probably sometime late tonight. So not a huge distinction there, just kind of showing you the National Weather Service is also letting everybody know, hey, this is definitely going to happen. So we're trying to bring as much attention to it as we possibly can. So those are the cold weather alerts that we have out there right now. Honestly, not anything crazy. It just means a widespread freeze is expected, which is not abnormal at all for this time of year. So, oh, you know what? I did something different with this graphic earlier. So let me run the timing back on that. Okay, so like I said, not only is it going to be really cold in terms of the actual air temperature, but winds are definitely going to be a factor. You already feel some of that today. The wind gusts are over 20 miles per hour in some spots this afternoon. But after that cold front comes through, it's going to drive the pressure in our area to a crazy gradient. That's actually what causes high wind speeds. Probably a little too technical, but that's kind of what's actually going on. So as this front comes through, it is really going to increase the wind gusts in our area. I'm talking Monday afternoon and evening, wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. Wind, it really irritates me. I'm sure my ladies can relate because it just blows your hair around so much. And it feels like once you finally get everything back in place, the wind starts blowing again. So I think this is going to be that kind of wind where it's really noticeable. You're probably a bit irritated by it. It's really going to be blowing around. And not only is it physically going to be a bit annoying, but also it's really going to play a role on the feels like numbers. The good news is by Tuesday, the wind already starts to die down a good bit, so we won't really have to worry about it too much for Tuesday. But this is why I said I really want to emphasize Monday, because now we're going to start talking about the feels like numbers. So I just showed you the actual air temperature values on that last temperature map. This is the feels like numbers, so factoring in the wind chill that's going to be present early this work week. Not a factor today, but check out overnight tonight. So we said the actual air temperature for tomorrow morning will be in the mid 30s, but it's going to feel a good 10 degrees cooler than that once you factor in the wind chill for tomorrow morning. So even though our temperatures aren't dropping into the 20s, it's already going to feel like the 20s tomorrow morning. You want to have your winter jacket. You want to make sure your kids are prepared to head out to the bus stop. This is the kind of cold that's really going to smack you in the face stepping out your door Monday morning. But not only is it going to be cold in the morning, like I said, in the afternoon, the actual air temperature only gets up to about 50 at the highest point tomorrow. So with 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts, it's going to feel like the low 40s or even upper 30s throughout the entire day Monday. So you are going to have your jacket on in the morning most likely, but it is absolutely not a case where you want to lose the jacket by the afternoon. I think this is going to be a jacket all day type of situation because it's just going to feel really bitterly cold all day long throughout Monday. And then of course, we wind down into the overnight hours Tuesday. This is our alert day. This is when the freeze is on the way and the wind is still a bit present in the morning. So check out the feels like numbers Tuesday morning, low 20s. I wouldn't even be surprised if some places felt like the teens on Tuesday morning. So chilly is an understatement. It is going to be bitterly cold Monday all day long and then early Tuesday morning. Like I said, there's good news. The wind dies down as we head throughout Tuesday, so it really won't be a factor for very long. We will feel closer to actual air temperature on Tuesday afternoon, which will be somewhere in the low 50s. So it is a short stint of very cold air. I would say all the way from tonight into about midday Tuesday, you are going to be pretty chilly. But again, it doesn't last long. Wednesday, we're already feeling a bit warmer, and then the actual air temperature warms up throughout this upcoming week. So in case you need reminding, which you probably don't, but just in case you do, dress warm this week. Monday and Tuesday are going to be your perfect opportunity to bust out your winter clothes. If you've been looking for a reason to wear your sweater or your jacket that you've been waiting to wear, this is going to be the perfect day. That's kind of what I'm using it as an excuse to do, is just to break out the winter fashion. If you're concerned about your pipes and things like that, I know something I will be doing is dripping my faucet, but if you've got outdoor pipes that are exposed, wrapping those in insulation is always a good idea as well. And then if you have plants that are outdoor plants that need to be brought in, bring those in. If you keep pets outside for long periods of time, plan not to do that for Monday or for Tuesday, and then kind of make plans for watering plants as well before it gets freezing and covering sensitive crops also. So there's just some of the typical tips that we give out during freezing temperatures. And I didn't know we were going to jump over to the tropics so quickly, but that is kind of the big picture in terms of temperatures for the next couple of days. I'm going to wrap that all up in a pretty bow for you here on the 7-day forecast. But we always mention tropics when we are talking in these extended streams. So here is the tropical outlook. No tropical activity is still expected within the next 7 days. I mentioned this yesterday, but just for folks who weren't with me, are winding into the very end of tropic season, luckily. We've got less than 30 days. November 30th is the last official day. I've had this question before, but people ask me if storms occur outside of the seasonality. The answer is yes, but it's extremely uncommon. So especially with the season that we're having now and most of the available energy in a lot of spots already having been tapped into, and the fact that the ingredients are only getting worse from here, I think that we are kind of looking to be soon in the all clear for tropical activity. So just to kind of show you where that stands, and now we can talk about the 7-day forecast. Obviously, today's our transition day, so highs still in the upper 70s. Rain chance, still something you want to pay attention to through the afternoon, but they will be very isolated showers and storms, and then they will be gone very quickly by tonight. Of course, I spent a lot of time about Monday and Tuesday, bitterly cold for both of those days, specifically for the first half of Tuesday, but definitely for Monday afternoon also. But then, if you are like me and just have never been able to adjust to the cold weather, there is a silver lining on the way, because on the back half of the 7-day, we warm back up into the 70s in terms of highs, and then the morning lows are going to stay right around average. So we actually work our way right back to where we should be for this time of year, climbing into the second half of the week. It's just going to be a little taster of what's on the way for wintertime as we go into Monday and Tuesday. I imagine this is going to be exciting for some people. I know I have a lot of folks in my Facebook comments. My Facebook, when we talk about temperature, it's a very divided space. So I know a lot of people that I get to chat with there on Facebook are excited about these temperatures, and more power to you. I'm glad that some people can be excited about it. If you're like me, just be excited about wearing a cute outfit for Monday and Tuesday. and then you will thaw out by the end of the week because things will get a lot warmer. No rain chance except for today. So we'll see how next Sunday ends up looking, if the models might get on board with that being our next rainmaker. But as of right now, Monday all the way through Saturday, there's not a single rain chance on the 7-day forecast. So it looks pretty quiet at the moment. And that's kind of what we've got going on for this week. A big temperature drop, so a big temperature story overall for Monday and Tuesday. The wind chill I really want you to be aware of, and then after that it's smooth sailing once again. So we'll kind of see how next weekend ends up looking as we go through the next couple of days. You'll hear a lot about the temperatures tomorrow and on Tuesday, and then we will warm back up for the second half of the week. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more information on what you can expect for the next few days. Hopefully you can stay warm on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to leave you here with the 7-day forecast just for a few more minutes so you can kind of take it all in. And then meteorologist David Guerrero will be in tonight for 13 WMAZ News this evening with all the latest details. If you see that freeze watch turned into a freeze warning tonight, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It really just means, hey, yeah, these temperatures are coming, and we can finally issue the 100% guarantee label on that. So that's what you need to know for the rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and of course, stay warm tomorrow morning. Again, I will leave you here with the 7-day, but thank you so much for joining me, and then you can join meteorologist Alex Pry right back here at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning and for the rest of the week.